Our God told Jeremiah, I need you to write what I'm telling you in a book for your people. Because these other races of people, they have an entirely different plan for you. Because why? It's obvious. Why? This is why. Hold that, Elder Lawya. I'm going to show you why the Gentiles who are non-Israelites, it's not in their interest to tell you that you are Israel. Hold that and get Romans, Elder Lawya. Romans 11 and 1. This is why it's not in their interest. Romans 11 and 1, Elder Lawya. Even though this is not on the program, I'm going to still deal with it, right? Romans 11 and 1 and Romans 11 and 11. Read it.
Yes, sir. Romans 11 verse 1. I say then, have God cast away his people?
So because this is what they're teaching in the Christian church. That God cast away his people, his chosen from the Old Testament, and through Christ got Gentiles to replace us. So Paul is asking the question, have God cast away his regular people, his original people who are Israelites through bloodline? This has nothing to do with a belief or religion. This is through blood. Paul was an Israelite according to what? His fathers. He didn't believe. Okay, this is a bloodline prophecy concerning a people. So even during Paul's time, there was rumors out there that we were done away with. That God no longer loves us the same. And that he loved all people equally. That rumor was out there during the time of Paul. Right after Christ's death. 14 years after this, people are trying, well, hold up. Is God's people his people anymore? Have the Gentiles replaced us? Paul set that record straight. Let's read it.
I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid.
God forbid. He didn't cast away the Israelites only to replace them with Gentiles. That would contradict our God. Our God is a God of law, and these Gentiles are lawless. They're heathens. They eat what they want. They worship any day they want. They don't have no rules. So how can God do away with us, our forefathers, in our genealogy, to only replace us by people who actually are doing in the earth worse than us, worse than what we did against them? So that's that ridiculous doctrine in the Christian church that God has done away with his people because he's bad and he accepts other people liberally. That's a lie. Listen to what Paul says. Read.
God forbid.
God forbid.
For I am also an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
He's breaking it down just like us. Just like us. He says he ain't done away with his people. Just because Christ came doesn't mean that he got a new race of people and they're spiritual Israelites in the earth now. What the Hades is a spiritual Israelite? The same way they can't be a spiritual Moabite or a spiritual Edomite is utterly ridiculous. Trying to claim someone else's race spiritually. He says, no, I'm also a what?
For I am also an Israelite.
I'm a what?
For I am also an Israelite.
Proving to you that even the disciples understood that being an Israelite isn't a religion. It's not something you just pick up. Okay? It's a bloodline. Paul was an actual man and he wasn't a white man. He was a black man. Okay? Beyond any, he was Middle Eastern. No, he wasn't Ishmael. A matter of fact, Paul is speaking against the children of Ishmael in the book of Romans. Also written to the Hebrews and the book of Galatia. He's speaking against the Arabs. So you can't say, oh, he looked like Middle Eastern. He's Ishmael. No, he isn't. He was a black man. See? Read.
For I am also an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Verse 11. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall?
So Paul is asking a question. Have our people stumbled that they should fall? That means what? Will we be down or be under the foot of the Gentiles forever? Are we destined to stay as the low people on the earth, is what Paul is asking. Read.
God forbid.
No. God forbid means no. Read.
But rather through their fall,
Through our fall,
salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
the Gentiles got an opportunity because we fell. It had nothing to do with the love of God. It had nothing to do with anything they did personally. It was our fall that gave them access to power. See? So this is why it's not in the Gentiles' interest to tell us the truth concerning ourselves, concerning the poor people. Why? Because we'll find out all of the riches and power that actually empowers them above us was actually given to them by us. See? And we have, okay, so that means that we can work our way around you to receive our glory and power. You think the other nations want to see that? You working your way around them? No. Why don't you take this Buddha statue? No. Why don't you come to my Christian church on a Sunday? Worship pagan gods. They don't want you getting around them. See? This is why there's a unified attack by unbelievers, apologetics, and other Christians. They're not believers, folks. They're Satanists. Outright. That's why there's an attack against Israelites. And they are aligning themselves with what? The unlearned and the evildoers within our communities. What Paul is saying here, come on.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid.
No.
But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles.
So what is salvation? Is that equality for all mankind like the Christian churches are teaching? Let's see what the salvation for the Gentiles was or is.
Yes, sir.
Read.
For to provoke them to jealousy.
To do what?
For to provoke them to jealousy.
So the Most High gave the Gentiles their power so that we can look at it and say, you know what? Why can't we have that? Why is it that other nations seem like they're favored above us? He did that to provoke us to jealousy. It wasn't that we would stay down forever. We started following the ways of the Gentiles, and he said, you know what? You want to follow them pagan, them child sacrificing heathens? I'll tell you what, I'm going to put them over you. So salvation doesn't mean they'll be saved to be equal in the kingdom. Paul breaks down what that is, because in order for them to be empowered to a degree that the children of Israel become jealous, he would have to bestow upon the Gentiles riches, power. And that's what we would be jealous of. The Gentiles are in their kingdom already. Read it.
Verse 12. Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world.
So it became what?
Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world.
The riches of the world is the Gentile salvation. They're already in their kingdom, folks. This is what's provoking us to jealousy. And guess what? They got it without receiving Christ. They got it through our fall. They're already in their salvation. This is why it's not in their interest, speaking of the theologians who are teaching, the Jesuits who are teaching, who are white people, and Chinese people and Arabs peddling Islam. It's not in their interest to tell you the truth. Because our fall means what? The riches of the Gentiles. As long as we're disobedient, harming each other, selling drugs to each other, disrespecting one another, divisive with one another, the Gentiles rule. So this is why being an Israelite is the greatest threat in the earth today when it comes to belief. Because when we begin to follow the law, statutes, and commandments of God, Gentiles loses power. We're no longer the consumers anymore that they grandize themselves off of. This is why this understanding of us being Israel is a threat. Huh? Now you notice I'm breaking this down without talking about what's going on out there in the earth. And if they take this video down, it'll be just simply because of truth. I didn't say anything to offend any other race of people. I'm talking about us right now. And if they take this down, you'll know it's because this truth resonated. The Gentiles are in their salvation, and they got their salvation without accepting Christ. It's riches and power that once belonged to us is the Gentile salvation. Read it again.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall?
Come on.
God forbid. But rather through their fall is salvation come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
To provoke us to jealousy. So now our children are growing up without the same opportunity as other people. And you're believing, well, it's just unequal. It's just unfair. I need to go to the white man for equality. Wrong. The white man will never make you equal to him. There's no such thing. The same way when we were in power, they weren't equal to us. That's the wrong mind frame. To go to the white man and say, I need justice. No, we need to go to God for forgiveness. And he'll do justice. The riches and power, because there's only one earth. And the riches and power in the earth will come back to us if we come back to God. It's that simple. It was through our sin the Gentiles gained power and riches. And Paul even brought that out. So it's in the Gentiles' interest to dissuade you from the knowledge of being an Israelite. Because they lose all power. What can you debate? Listen, the Bible says, the wicked, what dost thou have done to declare my statutes and to take my word at your mouth? How can I trust you, Edomite apologetic? What the hell have you done for our people? Not a darn thing. And the only reason they're coming out of the woodwork now is because they're losing. It's our people that have propped all these so-called white evangelists up. These white pastors up, like the Oral Roberts and the Patrick Robertsons and all these Jesuit demons. And the only reason they're coming from behind the woodwork now and they're not being honest, is because they're losing their gravy train. The ignorant blacks have been supporting white evangelism since its inception. And you know what? When they find out we're Israelites, no longer do these so-called TBN and Christian channels and these usurpers have authority over God's people. We're setting God's people free and they can't stand it. Huh? Come on, Elder Lawya. I see you have something. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. Hosea chapter 6, verse number 1.
Come on.
Come and let us return unto the Lord. For he have torn, and he will heal us. He have smitten, and he will bind us up.
There you go. Our problem is when we finally see the world for what it is and understand that there is no hope trying to get justice in this earth, instead of us turning to the Most High for the answer, we automatically find ourselves groveling back to the governments of this world to ask for equality, when this is not why the Most High did this. Mm-hmm. He did this so that we can come back to him. How can you go to the politicians when the politicians are behind the destruction? Look at our communities. I went through North Philadelphia and almost broke down and cried. The block I was raised on, 15th and Diamond. I almost broke down and cried coming through our communities. And here it is, our people voted predominantly Democrat, not to say that the Republicans are any better. But I'm looking at our neighborhoods who've always trusted in our politicians, and I said, this was their plan against us. Trash strove all over the place, only to lower the worth of any building there so that they can come in and regenify the whole neighborhood, only to get our people on drugs and all type of high blood pressure medicines and other stuff to kill us all so that they can replace us in our neighborhoods. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, y'all can't see that this is what we voted for? All the equality, celebrating. We celebrating in Philadelphia. Black mayors, the first black mayor, Wilson Good. Oh yeah, John Street, and all these other black mayors. And we went through a time, and all throughout the United States, there were black representation who were really what? You got it. Cardboard cutouts for the synagogue of Satan controlling behind the veil. I need y'all to look at all the politicians who are mayors of cities now and check out their religious persuasion, and you'll understand the plan the whole time. This is a strategic plan to kill off our people, and no one is saying anything. I went through the neighborhoods in North Philly, and I'm looking at some of the people I grew up with. Strong, vibrant men who are broken down because they believe the healthcare system. They believe what the politicians were telling them. And they still believe. That's the weird part about this. Your mama's house been bought right from under you. Signs everywhere, I'll buy your house for cash. They've regentrified and destroyed our communities, and while the Christian churches sat by and allow it to happen. And I almost broke down because I remember a time where we would have block captains on the block. We would paint our houses all the same color. We would have flower pots in front of our stoops. The children could play. The girls would jump and rope. We would go across, and the streets were clean. I'm looking at Duckery. 15th, I went to Duckery School. We used to play basketball right there, 15th and Susquehanna. I remember everything. And I'm like, whoa. And I went back to me, a little child, when I used to jump over this little crack in the ground. And I went to look and see if that crack in the ground was still there. And you know what? It's still there. And I'm like, man. And we're still trying to search for answers to why our people are still suffering. And then you're going to the same politicians, the same churches who are behind our demise. Folks, I'm going to need y'all to resonate today. How did we lose Jerusalem? It's the same way we're losing our communities today. How we've lost our communities today. And we're going to them for equality and think that it's a talking point, or the only time we get rallied up is when a cop kills a black man. You can't see that distraction when all of us are being killed right under our noses. DMX, Hank Aaron, on and on and on. Marvin Hagler. And here it is. It's happening right in front of our faces. Our loved ones are dying right up under our nose, and they use these perfect on cue distractions to get us away from the desolation that was prophesied in the Bible. The same way our communities are being destroyed through gentrification and systematically and socially insurrected. They're coming in and taking everything from us. Is how we lost Jerusalem. So I'm not going to the Christian churches for answers no more. They have sold out. They believe what the news is telling them. They aren't receiving information from God, or they wouldn't open up their churches for this campaign. I'm not dealing with the voting system, and not me personally, because I see what our people have voted for. To get black people in office. I've seen the transformation when we were a people who loved one another, when families were together. And I'm looking at what's going on now, and I can't help but understand that this was a plan against us. So how can I go to the same politicians for the answer? And I'm not going to support any campaign, Black Lives Matter or none of that crap. Because at the end of the day, all of that money goes towards what? It incentivizes the machine against our people and give it to freaks and Satanists. The same people that are behind our demise. Let's go now. Come on, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 12.
Come on.
Romans 11, verse 12. But if the fall of them be the riches of the world.
So the earth got rich because we fell as a people. Read.
And the diminishing of them, the riches of the Gentiles.
And guess what? When people go against Israelites, and the fact that Israelites are saying that we need to keep the law, to get our lives together, to protect our families, to instill morality in them. You know what you're saying when you're saying you are against that? That the way things is in our community is fine. That's what you're saying. To keep it like it is. That's what they're saying. And a lot of people are against Israelites because, not that because they hate Israelites, because they know somewhere deep in themselves, when they're to themselves, they know what Israelites are saying is true. But they can't overcome their vices. So they turn to enemies against Israelites. But they know in their heart what we're saying is true. If you go against Israelites in the Bible and say the Bible is tampered with and we're not the people, what you were saying in a nutshell, that it's okay. The destruction of our people is okay, and it should continue. Because if this is not the way that can get us back on code with the God who caused all this, what is? That's what you're saying when you go against Israelites. Because we're not saying go out and fornicate. We're not saying, to steal and kill and to sell drugs to our people. We're saying, we're just teaching our people to come back to the laws of God. What's so wrong with that? And we're saying through Christ, even though we've made mistakes, that he's given us an opportunity to stand at the crucifix with Christ and put our sins there, so that now the guilt of the past don't affect us getting our communities together, to get our lives together. That even the sins we did unto death, that no longer is that held against us if we're willing to repair our people. What's wrong with that message? No, there's something wrong with you if you reject that message. Because you're telling me that what's going on in the community, what I'm witnessing in North Philly and other places, you're telling me that that's perfectly fine. The Christian churches have it. They got it. That they're doing the right thing. You're telling me that the politicians in our community is doing a great job and everything is fine. That's what you're telling us when you go against Israelites in the awakening. Come on, Elder Lawyer.
Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles.
So the Gentiles got rich. A lot of you didn't know this was in the Bible, because we fell. So it's not in the Gentiles' interest to give you a religion that will empower you. Being an Israelite is empowering. And that power doesn't come from man. It's from on high. This is why I don't deal with those stupid arguments about 12 tribes charts and all this other crap. That's a ridiculous argument. Don't even go there. Why do you care that we're claiming we're Israel? If you're living in the United States and there's a freedom of religion anyway, why do you care? Why don't you just make sure that your house is clean, Christian? Why don't you make sure your house is clean, Muslim, Buddhist? You know why? Because what we're breaking down today, folks, the powers that be have paid a king ransom throughout generations to keep it from you. This connects us with the Father and breaks the chains off of our minds. Connects us back with our God so that we can get our power back. And it cannot be circumvented because why? The Bible comes with rules. There's no place where you'll see an Israelite where a woman is circumventing authority over a man because there's order. You'll never see a scenario where a Gentile is empowering himself over the Israelites when the Israelites started the church. It's order. See, that's why. So Esau can't find a way to circumvent. So what he'll do is he'll find some straggler somewhere who've been following us online and say, well, listen, I done seen the light and you sitting with the enemy who only using you as the tool you are. And after that, he'll discard you. They just need anyone anywhere who would speak. And guess what? It's like trying to throw a rock in the Atlantic Ocean to make a ripple. I don't care how many simpletons they try to interview. Oh yeah, I was once an Israelite, but now I can see the dark. And they sitting there being used as a simple tool. And guess what? You don't even move the meter. You don't even move the meter. You just go down in history as a tool used by the devil. And then after they discard you, nothing to see here. They're not bringing you into a church. They're not empowering you to actually stand in the word of God. They're not giving you no orchestrated direction. They're only going to use you as a tool to speak against your own brother or sisters. I don't want to be remembered like that. Sitting with the devil, sitting there groveling like a little dog for crumbs from the master's table. For a little attention. The attention your daddy probably didn't give you. And that's what's going on in this earth right now. Weasels being utilized by the devil. Let's finish reading.
Verse 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office.
I magnify mine office. And Paul told them, Gentiles, understand, it isn't through your power. It isn't through your power that you have access or power in the earth. What was that here? It's not through your power. It's only because we disobeyed God, Gentiles, that you have power and rulership. But guess what? The more people wake up who's Israelites, the more people come to the knowledge of the truth and stop sinning against our God, the less time you'll have. The less time you'll have.